At the age of 11, Spencer handed me a clean sanitary pad. He said, "My mom gave it to me. She told me to take it out if any female classmates needed it. Fiona, I wish you were my little sister." Later, his kind and gentle mother really became my mom. He said, "Sonny, it's a good thing you're my sister." The year I met Spencer, I was 11 years old and in 6th grade. I developed early, getting my period in 5th grade. During recess that day, the sudden arrival of my period caught me off guard. Clutching my stomach, I ran around asking female classmates for a sanitary pad. I searched everywhere, only to receive cautious replies of no. The male classmates watched my awkwardness and snickered quietly. Some even gathered together, pointing at my pants and discussing loudly. Just as I was at a loss, 11-year-old Spencer poked my hand. He rummaged through the inner pocket of his bag, calmly took out a clean sanitary pad, and handed it to me without hesitation. "I think you need this." His eyes were bright and pure, piercing a hole through my world of insecurity and timidity. Grateful, I bowed slightly to him and turned to head to the restroom. Behind me, the whispers of classmates filled the air. In that rural school, many children of that age viewed such normal physiological phenomena in girls as something shameful. Spencer's action would invite many mocking voices. Some male classmates began to distance themselves from him, pointing at him behind his back and calling him a women's friend. But he was the savior of 11-year-old Fiona. In the afternoon when seats were being rearranged, Spencer raised his hand and volunteered to the teacher to be my desk mate. The reason given was to support each other's studies and help one another. Spencer excelled in English, while I was one of the top students in Chinese in the class. So the teacher naturally believed this explanation. I leaned on the desk and said gratefully, "I really appreciate what you did today, but why would a boy have sanitary pads in his school bag?" I asked curiously. Spencer beamed brightly. "My mom put them there. She said if any girl needed one, I should give it to her." I listened with envy, feeling deeply moved. His mom must be so thoughtful and kind, unlike my mom, who would only scold me harshly when I said the sanitary pads ran out, then send me to make rice porridge for my younger brother. "It's my pleasure to help you. Remember to bring them tomorrow," Spencer said gently. I looked dejected. My family can't afford to buy them. My mom says spending money on such things is a waste. The money should be saved for my brother's milk powder. At home, they only buy a fixed amount of sanitary pads each month. After mom uses them, then my older sister. Whatever is left is for me. Money needs to be carefully budgeted. I'm a girl, and the second child, the least important kid in the family. The 1-year-old little brother is the most treasured child in the family. My dad always says that giving me life was the greatest mercy he could show me. After me, my mom got pregnant several more times, but after grandma consulted a fortune teller who declared they'd be girls, they found ways to terminate the pregnancies. My mother came back from the brink of death several times, still longing to give birth to a chubby baby boy for my father's family, until my younger brother was born. Only then did I realize that paternal and maternal love truly existed. Whenever my brother cried, someone would immediately comfort and hold him. When my brother cries, a brand new toy appears in his hands. All I have is the tattered stuffed rabbit that my sister discarded. It was sewn by mom for my sister when she was little. As the firstborn in the family, even though she's a girl, my sister received far more affection than I ever did. I'm the most redundant presence in my own home. The next day, as soon as Spencer arrived, he pulled out a brand new pack of sanitary pads from his backpack and presented them to me like a treasure. I flusteredly took them and stuffed them into the drawer. Spencer frowned. "What's there to hide? It's not something shameful." I was afraid he'd get angry and never play with me again, so I smiled at him ingratiatingly. His brows relaxed, and he looked truly handsome, just like his name, Sonny. He shone brightly. "My mom said this is for you. If you ever need anything, just let me know. My mom will have me bring it to you." My face flushed red as I said thank you over and over again. Things my mom wouldn't buy for me, other moms would. Spencer waved his hand and pretended to glare at me angrily. "No more thank yous. I'm 2 months older than you, so you should call me big brother." I awkwardly looked away, refusing to call him that. How can he be my older brother when we're classmates of the same age? Spencer shared his plans with me. "After finishing 6th grade, I'll go back to the city for middle school. What about you? Will you attend the town middle school or the city one?" I shook my head. My dad said he won't let me continue studying after 6th grade. My older sister was born earlier, so she could finish middle school. Spencer looked shocked. "How can you not go to school? You're clearly so smart." I forced a bitter smile and explained, My name is Fiona. My dad says my greatest purpose in life is my little brother. Before he was born, I was supposed to hope for his arrival, and after he was born, I was meant to raise him. I paused, my voice barely a whisper. In a few years, they'll marry me off to earn a dowry for my brother's education. Spencer zoned out, lost in thought. If only you were my sister, Fiona, he said softly after a long pause. Yes, if only I were his sister, I would also have a gentle and caring mother. Warm and delicious meals, perhaps then I could be the beloved treasure of the whole family. After school, I took out that pink packaged sanitary pad from my backpack and stared at it for a long time. Upon closer inspection, there was a faint, elusive fragrance. The sanitary pads Mom and my sister left for me were always the cheapest kind from the village store, crumpled from their handling. I never knew feminine hygiene products could smell so nice. My sister Judy called me from the doorway, and I hurriedly stuffed the sanitary pad into my backpack. With sharp eyes, she rushed over and snatched it from my hand. Fiona, where did you get such a nice thing? Did you steal it? She shouted loudly. I panicked and rushed to cover her mouth. If Mom finds out, I'm definitely going to get a beating. In the end, Judy only left me just enough for these few days and took the remaining half pack. She even threatened me into washing my brother's wet pants after he peed in them. She also bragged to me that Dad and Mom had promised her they'd change her name this summer, so she wouldn't have to be called Judy anymore. Judy can become Pearl, but Fiona can only be called Fiona. I sat in front of the large wash basin, scrubbing clothes while tears fell. My dad walked by carrying my little brother and kicked me to the ground. Crying while doing a little work, you're crying away all your brother's good fortune. I struggled to get up from the ground. Dad, I want to change my name too. My dad was so angry he wanted to kick me again, but my younger brother pointed ahead and babbled excitedly. Instantly, his face softened into a doting smile as he lifted my brother onto his shoulders for a better view. Then he spat at me. Worthless life. I owe you nothing. Judy sat on the doorstep not far away, while my mom carefully braided her hair into the latest fashionable style. Why is there such a difference when we're both their children? It seems that as far back as I can remember, I've never been carried on Dad's shoulders, never received a gentle smile from Mom. I could only wipe away my tears after being scolded and beaten, then finish the remaining chores. Fiona, Spencer called out to me from a distance. I looked up in surprise as Spencer came running over from the roadside, followed by a kind-looking couple. The woman helped me up from the ground and gently took out a handkerchief to carefully dry my hands. Her husband stepped forward to introduce himself to my mother. Hello, Fiona's mom. We're the parents of Fiona's classmate. Our Spencer mentioned that you're not planning to let Fiona continue her education. My mother replied blankly. That's right. Where would we get the money to keep a girl in school? Just having a bowl of rice to eat is already a blessing for her. I lowered my head in shame, unwilling to listen to my mother's harsh words any longer and too afraid to meet Spencer's eyes. How could he have brought his parents to my house? Spencer's mother smiled and said, what if we take Fiona with us and provide for her education? What do you think? Hearing this, I froze in shock. My dad was clearly shocked too, but still kept a stern face and said, we've put so much effort into raising her all these years, and just when she's finally able to help out a bit, you think you can just take her away like that? Spencer's parents exchanged glances. Spencer's father shook my dad's hand and said, of course we can't let you raise her for nothing. We're willing to pay $20,000 as a small token of our sincerity. Spencer's mother quickly handed the money to my mom. My mother held the heavy stack of money, her face practically blooming with joy. Trading away this child that the whole family despised for $20,000 was undoubtedly a great deal. Even the bride price received when the neighbor's sister got married was only $18,000. My father kept a stern face, still trying to squeeze out more benefits. The final price was $30,000, taking me away along with transferring my household registration. I was still in a daze, unable to believe this sudden turn of events. It wasn't until Spencer's mother firmly grasped my hand and led me to the car parked at the village entrance. Spencer was overjoyed, waving his arms excitedly. Now you're really my little sister. The frozen soil in my heart gradually began to thaw. Spencer's parents unexpectedly became my foster parents. I wouldn't even dare to dream of such a thing. It turned out that after Spencer returned home, he told his parents about me. His parents felt sorry for my situation and thought of bringing Spencer to see me, hoping to persuade my parents along the way. Unexpectedly, as soon as they got out of the car, Spencer's mother saw me, small and sitting on the ground wiping away tears. and became determined to take me home with them. In less than half a day, I left the home that had brought endless suffering to my childhood. I felt not the slightest bit of reluctance. Just as they had happily counted the money and left without even saying goodbye to me, arriving at the home in town, Spencer eagerly jumped out of the car to open the door for me. "Welcome to your new home." Spencer's parents, now my adoptive father and mother, each took one of my hands and led me across the threshold of the new house. My adoptive mother gently touched my messy hair and said apologetically, "Fiona, we were in a hurry to pick you up and didn't have time to prepare a welcome ceremony. Get a good rest tonight, and we'll take you out for a big meal tomorrow." My adoptive father was already busy clearing out an empty room for me. My adoptive mother asked me to wait on the sofa while she went to cook first. I nervously touched my dirty pants and hesitated to sit on the clean, tidy sofa. Want to follow my foster mother to the kitchen to cook. After all, back at home, I was the one who prepared all 3 meals a day. I stood in front of the large wood-fired stove, stir-frying dish after dish. Every time I finished washing the wok and came out, the meat dishes on the table had already been completely devoured. My foster mother gently pushed me out of the kitchen, smiling as she asked Spencer to take me to watch TV. It's not right to have a child cook, eating the warm meal and watching the bright TV. I thought I was in a dream. I greedily wished for this dream to last longer, just a little longer. The next day, my adoptive parents took me to buy many new sets of clothes. It had been a long time since I last wore new clothes. Only when my sister grew tired of them or they were worn out would they be passed down to me. When I left last night, my adoptive mother didn't let me pack any luggage. She said she wanted to buy everything new for me: new shoes, new dresses, a new backpack, and also, a new family. My foster mother even took me to the supermarket to learn about different brands of sanitary pads and taught me a lot about physiological knowledge. For me, from the moment Spencer handed me a sanitary pad at school, to the moment my foster mother pulled me up from the ground, they had already become my family in my heart. I finally understood why Spencer was so bright and dazzling. How could such a warm and loving home fail to nurture a bright and cheerful child? I was like an ugly duckling swimming in a dirty ditch, until one day someone pulled me into a clear, pristine lake, where I transformed into a beautiful swan. My adoptive parents looked me straight in the eyes and said sincerely, "From now on, you and Spencer are both our most precious children." Spencer took my hand and asked if I wanted another ice cream. "It's so wonderful, I've become someone's precious treasure too." My adoptive mother asked me what kind of name I'd like to change to. She said, "In this family, girls are equally precious. You don't need to be called Fiona." I thought and thought, then cautiously asked, "Sunny, is that okay?" "Spencer, Sunny, I also want to be like Spencer, bright and dazzling, and able to bring light to others." My adoptive parents exchanged delighted glances, then rushed forward together to embrace me. "Of course you can, our precious daughter." From that day on, Fiona became Sunny. After the summer vacation, my adoptive parents took us back to our home in the city. My adoptive father is a novelist who has published 2 books and gained some recognition in the online literature community. My adoptive mother is an editor and sometimes works from home. Spencer and I attended the same middle school in the city. Spencer would point at me and introduce me to new classmates. "This is my sister, Sunny." Gradually, I also began to praise my brother in front of my new friends. The schools in the city are different from those in the countryside. Here, boys and girls interact openly, and the teachers are kind and approachable, unlike my old elementary school, where just a glance between me and Spencer would lead to accusations of puppy love, and teachers liked spitting in corners. I fit in well here and quickly made many friends. The teacher also likes me very much, especially the Chinese teacher, who often calls home to praise me for being smart. My adoptive father laughed heartily and boasted to my adoptive mother, "Looks like Sunny takes after me. She's got the talent to be a great writer too." My adoptive mother scolded him jokingly for being shameless. She said, "Our Sunny can do whatever she wants in the future." I just realized that a girl's destiny when she grows up isn't to get married and earn a bride price for her parents, but to do whatever she wants to do. In the second semester of 7th grade, I saw Judy at school after a long time. She was following behind a teacher from the rural middle school, as if she had come to participate in a competition. When she saw me, she walked straight over and said loudly, "Fiona, didn't your parents sell you?" Passing classmates kept glancing sideways. The classmate beside me looked puzzled. "Sunny, do you know her?" I asked my classmates to go ahead first and took Judy to a corner. "Fiona, you changed your name. and you're even attending a junior high school in the city, she said indignantly. My name is Sunny now. I held the student ID card in front of her. A hint of envy flashed in Fiona's eyes. But she still retorted stubbornly, the people who adopted you probably wouldn't let you go to high school, right? Mom and Dad said they'd give me half of the $30,000 they got from selling you to pay for my high school. How could that be? Mom and Dad love Judy more than me, but no matter what, she is still Judy. I looked completely unconvinced. Judy said urgently, it's true, if I rank well in this competition, I can transfer to City No. 1 high school next semester. The next day, the rankings for the junior year competition were posted on the bulletin board. I deliberately went up to look and found Judy's name in the second row. She certainly had the qualifications to attend City No. 1 high school. Although I didn't feel any familial bond with this sister, I genuinely hoped every girl could complete their education, rather than being married off at 15 like the neighbor's sister just to earn a bride price. In my second year of middle school, my adoptive mother became pregnant. I started treading carefully at home again, afraid that any misstep might lead my adoptive parents to abandon me once more. After school in the evening, I would prepare a basin of warm foot-soaking water for my pregnant foster mother. Then I would massage her shoulders and gently pat her legs. At this point, my foster mother would usually shoo me back to my room. Go do your homework. Once you're done, go play some games with your brother. Stop bothering me. Noticing my hidden worries, my adoptive father helped my adoptive mother into my room. Sunny, don't worry, even after this baby is born, you'll still be our precious child. We'll never abandon you, my adoptive mother said in a voice both gentle and firm. Sunny and Spencer, along with this baby about to be born, are all the very best children in the world. My once empty heart was now filled to the brim by this warm family. I loved pressing my hand against my foster mother's belly together with Spencer, feeling the baby's kicks against her skin. Spencer and I competed fiercely to name the baby. My foster father assigned me to choose a girl's name and Spencer to pick a boy's. I've decided, if it's a girl, we'll name her Grace, I declared loudly. If it's a boy, we'll call him Jasper. Spencer chimed in eagerly. Our adoptive mother stroked her belly and laughed joyfully. Wonderful, wonderful, my children. All as radiant as the stars in the sky. During the summer vacation of my second year in middle school, my adoptive mother gave birth to a baby girl. As per our agreement, she was named Grace. Spencer kept circling the baby carriage, calling out, Grace, repeatedly, making so much noise that I wanted to punch him. Stop making noise and let your sister sleep. I gazed at her peacefully sleeping face, my lips curling into an involuntary smile. Grace, you're so fortunate to have the world's best mom and dad from the moment you were born. Grace, I promise to be the best big sister in the world and give you double the love our adoptive parents have shown me. Just before summer vacation ended, I met my biological parents. My biological mother sat at my doorstep, crying her eyes out with snot and tears streaming down her face. I held Grace tightly, refusing to let go. So it was Spencer who went to open the door. What do you want? Spencer's voice carried a hint of suppressed anger. I placed Grace back in the crib and walked over. The moment my birth mother saw me, she reached out to grab my hand. I shrank back, hiding slightly behind Spencer. Fiona, Mom finally gets to see you. My life has been so hard. Ignoring my reaction, my birth mother wiped away her tears. After listening to her lament for quite a while, I finally understood the situation. My biological sister, Judy, is dead. She went to town to buy formula for our younger brother when a speeding truck hit her while she was crossing the street. She died instantly. The formula can rolled and rolled, traveling over 50 meters. Judy never got to change her name in the end. That summer, as it happened, my younger brother fell ill and wasn't feeling well, so the matter of changing her name kept getting postponed. When it comes down to it, although she received more love than I did, it was still far less than what our brother got. Fiona had already become the shining Sunny, but Judy could only ever remain Judy. The $30,000 my adoptive parents gave when they took me away was originally supposed to be shared with Judy for her continued education, but later, our birth parents, having tasted the benefits of selling their daughter, went back on their word. She didn't get her wish to attend the prestigious No. 1 high school in the city, in just one more year. Judy was supposed to marry the wealthy but simple-minded son of a family in the neighboring town, with a bride price of $50,000, but now, Judy is gone, and the $50,000 has gone down the drain. The purpose of my biological parents' visit today is to take me back with them, to replace Judy and marry that simple-minded son. since they've already taken a $10,000 deposit. It's clear they're unwilling to give it back now. My adoptive father shielded me behind him and angrily shouted, "Don't even think about it. Fiona no longer exists. The one alive now is my daughter Sunny, and she has nothing to do with you." My adoptive mother, usually gentle, also lashed out in anger. "Let whoever wants to marry her do it. Don't even think about coming after our Sunny. We have a written agreement for $30,000. And the household registration has been transferred, if you try to take her by force. I'll call the police." Spencer grabbed a broom to chase them out, then closed the door. The biological father still wouldn't give up. "Fiona, are you really not coming back with us?" Holding my adoptive mother, I rolled my eyes. "Who's Fiona?" "I'm Sunny." Outside the door, the biological father cursed me as an ungrateful wretch. The birth mother wailed, crying, "My daughter, how miserable my life is." Spencer resolutely closed the door and locked it behind him, trying to take our Sunny. Not a chance. Both my adoptive mother and I were amused by him. After a long time, it finally quieted down outside the door. I coaxed the awakened Grace, her fair face grinning toothlessly. I was immersed in a honeypot of happiness. Such peaceful and happy days lasted until the year I graduated from high school. That year, Grace fell seriously ill. After finishing middle school, Spencer and I were admitted to the same high school again. Grace was also growing up healthy and strong. When she began to babble, the first person she called was sister. Because of this, Spencer ignored me all afternoon out of jealousy. Whenever I went to class for the day, Grace would jump into my arms when I returned, calling out, "Sister," in her sweet, childish voice. High school passed by in the blink of an eye. On the eve of the college entrance exams, Grace started having frequent stomachaches. She was only 4 years old at the time. Every day after school, Spencer and I would come home to hear Grace complaining of a stomachache. Watching her tiny figure and listening to the sound of her endless vomiting, my heart ached with a heavy pain. Our adoptive parents assured us to focus on our exams, saying Grace might have just caught some bacteria. They took Grace to the hospital every day. At the children's hospital, the doctor examined her and said no tests were needed, prescribing an 4 drip for Grace. After the treatment, Grace returned home full of energy again, sweetly calling out to her older siblings. On the last day of the college entrance exams, Spencer and I came home after finishing the final subject, but there was no long-awaited celebration. The house was empty. My adoptive parents had taken Grace somewhere. Spencer called my adoptive father and then dragged me out the door in a hurry. As we ran, he explained, "Grace has stomach pain again. She's at the city hospital now." By the time we took a taxi to the city hospital, it was already 8 p.m. Stepmother's eyes welled up with tears the moment she saw us. "Sunny, Spencer, happy graduation." "Mom, what's really wrong with Grace?" Spencer asked anxiously. Stepfather said hoarsely, "Grace needs to be hospitalized." My heart was pounding. Grace lay on the hospital bed, reaching out to hold my hand. Happy graduation, big brother and sister. Both Spencer and I had tears in our eyes. Spencer and I rushed home again to pack Grace's clothes. "Grace is sick." Today, Grace started having stomach pains and vomiting again, so her adoptive parents quickly brought her to the city hospital. The doctor ordered an ultrasound, and the examination confirmed a diagnosis of neuroblastoma. 4-year-old Grace thus began her journey of treatment. Her adoptive parents accompanied her every day, shuttling between various examination rooms in the hospital for numerous tests. On the day the college entrance exam results were released, her adoptive father carried Grace out of the MRI room, his eyes red and swollen. Seeing such a tiny Grace lying softly on the machine for examinations would break anyone's heart. After returning home, I told Spencer, "I want to apply to a university in our city." Spencer remained silent for a very, very long time. Back in our first year of high school, we had made a promise to each other to apply to universities in Cydia together. That university's top program offered my favorite subject, Chinese language and literature, as well as Spencer's desired major, computer science. Now that the college entrance exam results are out, both of us have scores that would secure our admission to any university we apply to. But I don't want to go anymore. I want to stay in this city so I can visit Grace often. In the end, Spencer sighed, "I'm not going either. We'll both apply to University A." When our adoptive parents learned about our decision, they scolded us angrily. "How can you be so careless about college decisions?" They all knew that Spencer and I had our hearts set on University A. I've checked. The computer science and English programs at City C University are nationally renowned. I quickly explained, there's nothing that can't be compromised. After entering high school, my English kept improving. An English major would be perfect for me. We want to spend more time with Grace. Spencer and I held the pale-faced Grace tightly in our arms. Nothing could separate our family. In the end, our adoptive mother hugged Spencer and me, tears streaming down her face as she said, "You're both such good children." They reluctantly agreed to our decision. After submitting my college applications, my biological parents, who somehow got wind of the news, showed up at the hospital. "Fiona, come home. We'll support you to study abroad." In recent years, my biological parents had started a pig farm, riding the wave of rising pork prices. Their business had flourished. The houses in the village have been renovated, transforming into the wealthiest family in the area. Hearing that I performed exceptionally well in the college entrance exams and was expected to achieve great things in the future, they began scheming to take advantage of me again. Grace is now ill, and the family's finances have become tight. They plan to support me through college as a way to bind me to them once more. They could afford to send me abroad for university, providing me with ample financial support. "Come back, so you can keep your brother company after we're gone." When it comes down to it, it's all for their son. They weren't thinking of me. They just didn't want their precious boy to be left alone. This time, after Spencer kicked my birth parents out of the hospital room, everyone fell into silence. Finally, it was my adoptive father who spoke with a sigh. "Our family's financial situation is indeed quite difficult right now. If you want to go back, then go. They can provide better financial support for your education. Now, most of the family's money is needed for Grace's medical treatment." My adoptive mother also held my hand and said, "Sonny, the choice is yours. Don't overthink it. No matter what you decide, we won't blame you. You'll always be my little sister." Spencer managed to say. I couldn't help but jump up and flick Spencer on the forehead. "You said you'd never abandon me. How could you try to send me away over such a small difficulty?" I pretended to be angry. "We're not trying to send you away. We just want what's best for you," my foster mother quickly added, holding her hand firmly. I declared, "Being with this family is what's best for me. You are my only parents." The adoptive mother burst into tears once again. Since the family had no money, I went to work summer jobs. After the college entrance exams, there was a full 3-month summer vacation. With my excellent exam results, I managed to secure several tutoring jobs. Sometimes, I had to teach at 3 different homes in a single day. By the time I finished and got to the hospital, Grace was already fast asleep. I placed her favorite fruits by the bedside, along with the comic books she loves to read. This way, Grace would see them as soon as she woke up the next day, knowing her sister was always there for her. In less than 2 months of hospitalization, her hands were already covered with needle marks, touching her no longer smooth hands. My heart ached with sorrow. Spencer was also desperately looking for part-time jobs everywhere. We were often so busy that we couldn't even see each other for a whole day. His smile remained bright, giving people endless hope. On the eve of the university's opening, we each collected our wages and came to the hospital. After paying for tuition and the first 2 months' living expenses, we still had $20,000 left between us. We handed the money to our foster father together. He repeatedly pushed it away, saying he wanted to save it for our university living expenses. "Dad, just keep it for Grace. We can work part-time to earn our living expenses after school starts, right?" "Right, let's consider it our contribution to this family." Since Grace was hospitalized, her adoptive father has visibly aged. He remains cheerful and carefree, but with an added layer of weariness. Her adoptive mother is busy with editing work, while her adoptive father has a more flexible schedule, allowing him to write while keeping Grace company. After starting university, Spencer and I would run back home every couple of days. Grace began her long chemotherapy treatments. Sometimes after a round of chemo, her adoptive parents would bring her home to stay for a while. At home, she'd bounce around, watch TV, play with the cat, full of energy. Unfortunately, before long, 5-year-old Grace would once again be lying on a hospital bed, her hands covered with needles and tubes of various sizes. Grace's condition was improving day by day. Once during the National Day holiday, Spencer and I found part-time jobs near the school, where the pay was 3 times higher than usual, so we didn't go home. Our adoptive parents drove an hour with Grace to visit us at school. After work, Spencer and I took Grace for a walk around the vast campus. Grace widened her round eyes, curiously looking around. "Big brother, big sister, can I go to a university like this in the future? Of course, as long as our Grace grows up healthy and strong, she'll definitely get into Tsinghua or Peking University. The summer vacation of her sophomore year, Grace finally completed her treatment. She began to live like a normal child, flying kites in the park and even adopting an adorable little dog. That little dog was an injured puppy we found while taking a walk together by the roadside. I took Grace to bring the puppy to the pet hospital. Grace asked me with sparkling eyes if we could keep this puppy. It's sick too, just like I was before. I want to take care of this little dog the way Mom, Dad, and my siblings loved me. Can we? Her childish words brought tears to my eyes. In September, she finally started kindergarten. Spencer and I are now in our junior year of college. This year, our family experienced another turning point. My adoptive father's novel became a huge hit, and a major film company reached out to him to purchase the copyright. After years of writing, his novel was finally adapted for the screen again, filling our entire family with excitement. When the copyright fee came in, my adoptive father's hands trembled with excitement. A full $6 million. After Grace was discharged from the hospital, the family's financial situation had improved significantly. With this $6 million, my adoptive parents wouldn't have to worry about making ends meet for a long time. Spencer and I no longer had to squeeze time out of our days to do part-time jobs. Just before our senior year, my adoptive parents came to the university and had a serious talk with Spencer and me. Now that our financial situation had improved, if we had any plans, our parents could support us in studying abroad. But I can't bear to leave Grace, I pouted. I couldn't bear to be away from such wonderful foster parents for 3 long years. They gave me a new life. My foster mother gently tapped my head and spoke earnestly. You could have had better options the year you took the college entrance exams. It was us who held you back. Now that we have the means, go study abroad properly and come back to earn big money to support your sister, my adoptive father said with a laugh. After careful consideration for some time, Spencer and I decided to apply to schools abroad. Before Grace grows up, we'll go see the world for her first. For the next year, we were both preparing for the IELTS exam and making arrangements to go abroad. Grace's last holiday in the country. She couldn't bear to be apart from us for even a day. That day, after 4 years, I heard news about my biological parents again. Their pig farm had run into trouble. In recent years, pork prices had remained high, and my biological parents had become blinded by their pursuit of profit. To make pigs reach market weight faster, they inject them with growth hormones. Since lean meat sells for higher prices, they add clenbuterol to the feed. There are other underhanded tricks they use as well. When people started getting sick from eating the meat, they banded together and reported it to the police. The police brought experts to thoroughly investigate the pig farm, and this investigation uncovered major issues. The customers who fell ill insisted on taking them to court. Not long after, my biological parents were thrown into prison. Fortune is fickle. The wheel of fate turns. When my adoptive parents' family was going through difficulties, my biological parents' business was thriving. Now that our whole family has overcome the hardships and everything is flourishing, my biological parents' family has suddenly collapsed. I am grateful that I was saved and have been reborn. Before going abroad, Spencer accompanied me back to the small town. We walked into the elementary school we attended back then. The summer vacation wasn't over yet, and the school was empty. We went to the classroom where we had studied in 6th grade. It was there that I met my savior and was reborn. I looked at Spencer seriously. Thank you, brother. All these years, I had never called Spencer brother, because we were always in the same grade at school. I found it awkward to call him that. Spencer pretended to shake off the goosebumps on his arm. Ugh, Sonny, don't do this. It was destined for me and my parents to be part of your world. Sonny, I'm so glad you're my sister. Perhaps I chose the wrong family at birth and lived a dull life for a long time, but luckily, at the age of 11, I became the shining treasure of my adoptive parents' home. Sonny, I went back to the village. The dilapidated tiled house from my memory had long vanished, replaced by a 3-story Western-style building. It must have been built a few years ago when my biological parents' pig farm first started to take off. Now, only an elderly woman and a child live there, my former grandmother and younger brother. Spencer reached out to knock on the door, and it was his silver-haired grandmother who answered. She favored boys over girls, always treating me with cold snorts and dissatisfaction. But now, she just stared at me blankly, asking if I could visit my birth parents in prison before going abroad. Go, of course I'll go. Before I leave, I want to step on them one last time. hard, my brother is already 13 years old. Fair and chubby, completely different from how dark and skinny I was at that age. He was playing video games with his classmates, gripping the controller tightly. He didn't recognize me anymore. Do you want to come with me to visit your parents in prison? I asked. His classmates looked at him in astonishment upon hearing this. He shot me an impatient glare. What parents? I don't acknowledge prisoners as parents. He waved his classmates back to their game. Don't listen to that crazy woman's nonsense. I smiled sarcastically. I picked up the receiver, watching the person inside through the glass. My birth mother's head was nearly covered with silver hair. Fiona, have you forgiven me? She looked at me eagerly. Before coming here, I went back to the village. Your so-called precious son wouldn't even bother to see you. He doesn't even want to acknowledge you as his parents in front of his classmates anymore. I grinned widely. The expression on my birth mother's face grew increasingly desperate. My parents are sending me abroad to study, like parents, like child. With parents like you, the kid was bound to turn out rotten. I put down the receiver and walked away without looking back. The day I went abroad, my adoptive parents accompanied Spencer and me to the airport. I clung tightly to my adoptive mother, unwilling to let go. Spencer urged me repeatedly, and only then did I reluctantly release my grip. My eyes brimming with tears, I crouched down to pinch Grace's cheek. Grace, you must grow up well and wait for your brother and sister to come back. Every day abroad, I live happily and contentedly. Over 3 years, I frequently stood on the podium. Once in class, a fellow female student covered her stomach and asked me in Chinese if I had a sanitary pad. I smiled and took one out from my bag for her, suddenly remembering how many years ago Spencer had handed me the sanitary pad his mother had packed in his school bag. Thank you, Spencer, for being willing to share half of Mom and Dad's love with me. Sunny, have finally become radiant now. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, let's continue to see another similar story. I was switched at birth with Lin Shirwei. She became the real heiress, while I was thrown into a trash bin, at the age of 17. I was brought back home, but the whole family still doted on her. She said, so what if you're the real heiress? Mom, Dad, and brother only listen to me. I can kick you out of the house in a second. I smiled faintly. Did you think I'd make no progress after living this life all over again? After I returned to the Lin family, they couldn't bear to part with their fake heiress, so they lied to the public, claiming they had actually given birth to twins that year. Yes. Lin Shirwei and I are twins, just with different fathers and mothers. We were born in the same delivery room. Her mother threw me into a trash can, while my parents spoiled her like a little princess. When I was brought home by the driver in ill-fitting clothes, my parents and brother all stood behind Lin Shirwei, backing her up as if I were an intruder. They were the ones who brought me back, yet they blame me for ruining their happy family. I fought alone in the Lin family, only to be cornered by Lin Shirwei in the end. In my past life, I begged my parents to save my grandmother, but I lost to Lin Shirwei's schemes and was forced into borrowing from loan sharks with no way out. But she still wouldn't let me go, spreading my indecent photos online until they went viral. In the end, I was killed by Lin Shirwei's biological mother on my way to see my grandmother for the last time. In this life, I hold no hope for the Lin family anymore. But Lin Shirwei must repay everything she owes me, so when the driver came to pick me up, I didn't even let him through the door. The phone rang soon after, but I turned a deaf ear to it and only answered after finishing a set of exam papers. On the other end of the line was my biological father, but I cut him off as soon as he introduced himself. I said coldly, I was picked out of a trash can by my grandmother. I don't have parents, he tried to explain over the phone. But I hung up and blocked the number. In the end, he had to make multiple personal visits to bring me back to the Lin family. To convince me I wasn't an abandoned child, they specially prepared a welcome party for me, something that never happened in my past life. It's true that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. The moment I stepped through the door, Lin Shirwei enthusiastically rushed over and hugged me, saying, hello little sister. It's our first meeting. I'm your older sister, Lin Shirwei. See? The world is full of shameless people like this. Those who seize another's nest yet have the audacity to act so self-righteous. Feigning confusion, I asked Lin Shirwei, are we really twins? Why don't we look anything alike? My mother, afraid Lin Shirwei might take it the wrong way, quickly added, you're fraternal twins, so it's natural you don't look alike. I glanced around at them and pressed on, but I look like Dad. So why doesn't she resemble either of you? My mother's expression froze. And she was at a loss for words. Lin Shiwei shared no blood relation with them at all. It would have been strange if she had looked like them, but my brother Lin Yusen is a siscon, and only obsessed with Lin Shiwei. Seeing Lin Shiwei's embarrassment, he yelled at me angrily, "Lin Tong Tong, when will you stop causing trouble as soon as you come back?" With tears in my eyes, I turned to ask my dad, "Didn't Daddy say that brother would like me very much? It's just acting. Who can't do it?" Lin Yusen sneered, "You're overthinking it. Rui is the only sister I recognize. You'd better behave yourself." He spoke with righteous indignation, holding his head high, probably believing he represented justice, completely ignoring my father's scolding. I turned to ask my mother, "Mom, do you think the same way?" My mother replied with an unnatural expression, "Of course not. You and Rui are both my daughters." What a kind and generous mother, treating the daughter of the person who abandoned her own child as if she were her own. Moved, I threw myself into my mother's arms, pretending not to notice her stiffness, and sure enough, I caught the panic and resentment in Lin Shiwei's eyes. "Don't worry, this is just the beginning." Auntie Zhang, the housekeeper, prepared a lavish spread. And I ate with great delight, while Lin Shiwei clearly had little appetite. My room was arranged next to Lin Shiwei's, and although it was slightly smaller than hers, it was already much better than the nanny's room in my previous life. Just after I finished showering, I heard my mom knocking on the door next door, no doubt coming to comfort her precious daughter. I felt completely indifferent inside and focused on solving my test papers. Soon after, Lin Shiwei perfunctorily knocked twice before barging straight into my room, putting on her elder sister act. She asked me, "Tong Tong, Mom just brought me a bowl of fennel dumplings. Do you want to join me?" She deliberately emphasized the words, "one bowl," probably hoping to make me jealous and provoke me into saying something unpleasant for my mother outside the door to hear. But I simply replied, "No need, I'm allergic to fennel. You can have it yourself." My mother walked in, surprised, and asked, "You're allergic to fennel too?" I nodded and said, "I've been like this since childhood. The doctor said it might be hereditary." She murmured, "Yes, I'm allergic to fennel, but Rui has always loved eating fennel dumplings." Lin Shiwei's expression changed, and she felt a pang of panic as she noticed the slight shift in her mother's gaze. This bowl of fennel dumplings made her feel favored, which was why she came to flaunt it in front of Lin Tong Tong. Little did she expect it would backfire. She hurriedly said, "Mom, let's go quickly. We shouldn't disturb my sister's studies." But just as my mom was starting to feel affectionate toward me, she came over to look at the papers on my desk and asked in surprise, "Why are you working on senior year exam papers?" Both Lin Shiwei and I are 17 years old, but she's only in her second year of high school this year. I calmly replied, "Because of household registration issues. I started school a year later, I skipped 2 grades, so now I'm in my 3rd year of high school." She didn't even know which grade I was in, which shows she never made any effort to understand me before. Lin Shiwei couldn't hide her jealousy as she said, "You used to attend No. 17 high school. That kind of school can't compare to our No. 1 high at all. Now that you've transferred, be careful not to fall behind." But my mom smiled and said, "No need to worry. Your dad skipped 2 grades in school. He was a top student. Tong Tong takes after him." Lin Shiwei's expression twisted, but I pretended not to notice and awkwardly replied, "I'm not a top student. I just worked hard to save on tuition because my family couldn't afford it." Only then did my mom notice my faded backpack, its zipper stitched up at the edges, looking completely out of place in this meticulously decorated room. Although my father had prepared new clothes for me, he wasn't thoughtful enough to get me a new backpack. Or perhaps he didn't realize I didn't even have a decent one. Lin Shiwei quickly said, "I have a new backpack my brother gave me. Would you like to use it? You wouldn't mind, would you, little sister?" This kind of sweet talk that rolled off her tongue so easily was exactly why I had fallen for Lin Shiwei's tricks in my past life. But now, I couldn't care less about it. I put on an expression of both anticipation and hesitation and said, "But wouldn't your brother be upset? After all, he gave it to you specially." My mom couldn't stand it anymore and spoke up, Rui, "Since Shaosun gave it to you, you should keep it. I'll take Tong Tong to buy a new one tomorrow." Lin Shiwei's expression darkened uncontrollably. The next day when we went out, Lin Shiwei indeed tagged along. After leaving the stationery store, Mom turned and entered a jewelry shop, where several sales associates immediately surrounded us. Lin Shiwei affectionately linked arms with me, insisting on dragging me around to browse, but in the end claimed she didn't like anything and didn't buy a single item. Finally, after waiting for my mother to finish checking out and leave, the alarm at the door suddenly went off as we exited. Terribly sorry, ma'am, it might be that the necklace wasn't demagnetized just now. The clerk took it back to run through the machine again, but the alarm sounded once more when we left. However, other customers came and went without any issues during this time. The jewelry store manager came out and politely suggested we might still be carrying other unpaid items, requesting that we submit to an inspection, no matter how politely it's phrased. The skepticism in his words remains unchanged. Mom sharply retorted, "Are you implying we stole something?" The manager calmly replied, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but since the machine isn't faulty, this is the only possible explanation. We appreciate your cooperation." As more and more people turned to look, Mom had no choice but to agree to the inspection. The female clerk scanned each person closely with the detector, and Lin Shiwei's gaze at me could hardly conceal her excitement and anticipation. I responded with a smile. Before she could react, my inspection had already concluded without any issues, but the detector went off wildly when it reached her. Under Lin Shiwei's disbelieving stare, the clerk retrieved a diamond hairpin from her bag, and even my mother was left speechless, staring at Lin Shiwei in shock. "It wasn't me, I didn't steal anything. Someone must have put it in my bag." She glared at me angrily as she spoke, clearly understanding the meaning behind my smile and realizing she had been outmaneuvered by me instead. I also said indignantly, "Sister would never steal anything. There must be some misunderstanding. Mom, let's call the police. Even if the surveillance didn't catch it, they can still check for fingerprints. We can't let sister be wronged." Mom patted my head approvingly, but Lin Shiwei's face turned pale. Even if she had carefully avoided the surveillance earlier, she must have left fingerprints behind. If the police were called, it would be over for her. In the end, Lin Shiwei claimed she had forgotten to put the item back after trying it on and had accidentally slipped it into her bag. Mom had no choice but to drop the matter and pay for it, then took us straight home amid the onlookers' whispers. Mom was so angry she skipped dinner, and Dad, not knowing why, went upstairs to comfort her. I don't know what Lin Shiwei said to Lin Yusen, but he blocked me downstairs with a fierce expression. "Tell me the truth, did you put the hairpin in Roy's bag?" I didn't believe Lin Shiwei would tell Lin Yusen the truth, so I wasn't the least bit nervous. "Do you have any evidence to back that up?" Lin Yusen snorted coldly. "I know Rui. She would never do such a thing. You must have stolen it and then stuffed it into her bag because you were afraid of being caught." I asked him, if Lin Shiwei didn't steal it, then why doesn't she want to call the police? Lin Yusen said matter-of-factly, Rui is kind-hearted. She probably guessed it was you who stole it and didn't want to embarrass you by making a big deal out of it. "You'd better go confess to Mom and Dad now, or I won't let you off." I sneered. "Fine, let's go right now." Lin Yusen followed me to our parents' room with half-belief. As soon as he entered, he couldn't wait to say, "Dad, Mom, don't blame Rui anymore. It was actually Lin Tong who stole the things." Mom and Dad looked at me in shock, with reddened eyes. I said, "My brother and sister insisted it was me. Maybe they think only someone as poor as me would steal." My father asked Lin Yusen sternly, "Did Rui tell you it was Tong who stole the things?" Lin Yusen was so angry he wanted to rush over and hit me. I shrank back, hiding behind Mom, who was furious and told Dad to bring Lin Shiwei over as well. Lin Shiwei also came with red eyes, probably trying to play the victim, but she didn't expect to be scolded by my mom the moment she stepped through the door. She cried pitifully and said, "Just now, my brother asked me. And I told him I was with my sister the whole time." Later, the hairpin somehow ended up in my bag. My brother must have misunderstood me. Lin Shiwei has truly mastered the art of manipulation. Someone like Lin Yusen, who's all brawn and no brains, would probably help her count the money even after she'd sold him out. Sure enough, in the end, Lin Yusen admitted he was mistaken and that it had nothing to do with Lin Shiwei, reluctantly apologizing to me. Mom and Dad comforted me for a while before letting us go back to sleep, as we still had school the next day. Before leaving, Lin Yusen glared at me fiercely, but I couldn't even be bothered to spare him a glance. The next day, Dad personally took me to school. The homeroom teacher was a slightly plump, kind middle-aged male teacher, but he wasn't the same one from class 7 in my past life. In my previous life, Dad didn't pay much attention to me, so I was randomly assigned to class 7, once again. It proved that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I was led into class one of the senior year, and my classmates were all very curious about me. After all, transfer students in the final year of high school were rare, let alone one who could directly join the top class. After a brief self-introduction, the teacher told me to find a seat. In reality, there was only one spot left in the classroom, so I walked straight to the second-to-last row by the window and stopped. The inner seat of the double desk was occupied by Qin Xiang, the school heartthrob of No. 1 high school and also the secret crush of Lin Shiwei. I gave him a slight nod as a greeting and then took the seat beside him. He smiled and said, "Lin Tong Tong, long time no see." Gasps echoed all around. I first met Qin Xiang when we represented our city in the National Math Olympiad last year. He was the team leader, and I was the deputy leader. Unfortunately, our team only won third place. I don't know what he's thinking now, but in my past life, he confessed to me just before graduation. Sadly, I was too dense to understand at the time, and by the time I realized, it was already too late. It took me just one day to quickly adapt to the new learning environment, but the curriculum at No. 1 high school was indeed faster paced than at No. 17 high school, with broader knowledge coverage, which made me frown involuntarily. Qin Xiang proactively lent me his notes and even told me to message him on WeChat if I had any questions, his enthusiasm leaving other classmates utterly astonished. During the competition, all team members added each other on WeChat, and after the event, we didn't delete each other. Instead, we'd still exchange interesting Olympiad math problems when we came across them, although we hadn't seen each other since the competition ended. We weren't exactly strangers, more like familiar acquaintances, so I didn't hesitate to accept his offer. Lin Shiwei somehow found out that Qin Xiang and I were desk mates, and the next day she insisted on hypocritically escorting me to class, while Lin Yusen told me not to be ungrateful. The moment she saw Qin Xiang, her eyes lit up, and from then on, she would rush to our class whenever she had time. Soon, everyone in class 1 knew about my background. That's how I got to know Lin Shiwei's best friend, Li Jingjing. Li Jingjing was Aunt Zhang's daughter and in the same class as Lin Shiwei. To keep her mother's job as a nanny in the Lin family a secret, she tacitly became Lin Shiwei's follower, but I also knew her other identity. She was Lin Yusen's girlfriend. The cliché drama scenario of the nanny's daughter dating the employer's son actually happened in real life, however, at Li Jingjing's strong insistence. This matter was kept hidden from Lin Shiwei, not to mention best friends. Lin Shiwei didn't even treat Li Jingjing as a classmate. She just bossed her around like she did with Aunt Zhang. I was different. My family background used to be even worse than Li Jingjing's. Plus, with her subtle feelings toward Lin Shiwei, we quickly became close. Once, Lin Shiwei got jealous because I was close to Qin Xiang and actually slapped Li Jingjing out of anger when I stepped in to defend her. It only made Lin Shiwei even more furious. She became convinced that Li Jingjing had been bribed by me to betray her and started bullying Li Jingjing even more severely with her classmates, until the increasing number of injuries on Li Jingjing's body could no longer be hidden from Lin Yusen. For the first time in his life, Lin Yusen lost his temper at his beloved younger sister. Both parents were shocked, and even Lin Shiwei was terrified. But she quickly sensed something unusual about their relationship. I watched coldly as these two turned on each other, thinking back to my past life when Lin Yusen discovered Lin Shiwei and Li Jingjing bullying me. He hadn't shown such righteous indignation then. People, they're just like that. They never know how much it hurts until the wound is on their own body. But Lin Yusen being the only one who understands this truth isn't enough. Lin Yusen and Li Jingjing's relationship was subsequently exposed. Lin Yusen was confined at home, while Aunt Zhang took the compensation money and left the Lin household to arrange Li Jingjing's transfer to another school. Lin Shiwei was also lectured by her parents for bullying classmates, but she didn't think she was in the wrong. Instead, she blamed it all on me. The rumor that I abandoned my grandmother for being poor and favored the rich quickly spread like wildfire at school, with Lin Shiwei fanning the flames. It directly cemented my reputation as an ungrateful person. The girls who were already jealous of me because of Qin Xiang began to ostracize me, but I turned a blind eye to all the negativity and focused on preparing for my first monthly exam at No. 1 high school. On the day the exam ended, I finally relaxed. After school, I bought a bouquet of flowers to visit my grandmother. It was the best nursing home in the city. And my condition for returning to the Lin family was that I could spend an hour with my grandmother every day between after-school hours and evening self-study. In my past life, I yearned for parental affection, and my outward pride was merely a mask to hide my inner inferiority. I never dared to ask the Lin family for anything, fearing they would look down on me. Later, when my grandmother fell seriously ill, I was at odds with my family, and with Lin Shirwei fanning the flames. My parents didn't believe me and refused to pay for her treatment. Left with no other options, I had to borrow from loan sharks, only to be forced into taking compromising photos. Lin Shirwei bought and posted them online, and my grandmother, having missed the critical treatment window, couldn't be saved. That day was like a nightmare. I was hit by a car and died on my way to the hospital to see my grandmother one last time. Before dying, I saw that the driver of the car was none other than Lin Shirwei's biological mother, Wang Yeye. It was then that I realized Lin Shirwei actually wanted me dead. Little did I know I would get a second chance at life. In the hallway, I ran into Qin Xiang, who had come to visit his grandfather. Like my grandmother, Qin's grandfather was in a vegetative state, clinging to the last shred of hope in the nursing home. The entire floor had only these two patient rooms. We sat in the hallway comparing our answers and couldn't help but laugh in the end. When my monthly exam results came out, my parents' faces lit up with smiles I hadn't seen in a long time. My dad started talking about his own school days and even dug out his old graduation photo to show me. I stared at a woman in the photo and jokingly told my mom that she was peeking at Dad. My mom immediately got interested and went to look for the name on the back of the photo, Wang Yeye. She murmured the name, as if it sounded somewhat familiar but couldn't quite recall who it was. I casually remarked, "Mom, don't you think this woman looks a lot like sister?" I saw my mother's expression change as she finally remembered who Wang Yeye was. She was Lin Shirwei's biological mother, the single mother who shared the same delivery room with my mom back then. The woman who swapped me with Lin Shirwei and then abandoned me in a trash bin. The fact that Wang Yeye was my father's high school classmate bothered my mother deeply, especially after learning that Wang Yeye had relentlessly pursued my father back then. This resentment extended to Lin Shirwei as well. She had always believed that adults' actions shouldn't involve children, and Lin Shirwei was the daughter she had raised since childhood, no different from her own. But after learning she was raising the daughter of her romantic rival, her mindset changed. She began noticing flaws in Lin Shirwei that she had previously overlooked. Particularly concerning were the incidents of stealing and bullying classmates, which made her suspect these were bad traits Lin Shirwei had inherited from Wang Yeye. Just as I inherited her phenol allergy, she suddenly realized the importance of blood ties, and Lin Shirwei and Wang Yeye do look very much alike. So much so that now whenever she sees Lin Shirwei, she thinks of Wang Yeye. It has become a thorn in her heart. Of course, I seized the opportunity to add fuel to the fire. Using the excuse of rewarding her, I had her accompany me to watch a movie. I deliberately chose a popular family drama that had gained massive attention due to the involvement of a trending celebrity. In the film, the male protagonist adopts his ex-girlfriend's daughter after her death, only to discover as the child grows up that she is actually his own daughter with his ex-girlfriend, judging from my mom's expression after reading it. My goal was achieved. She began to suspect whether Lin Shirwei might be my dad and Wang Yeye's child, though such an absurd plot would only appear in movies. Once the seed of doubt takes root, it grows on its own, drawing nourishment to thrive. After Lin Shirwei noticed my mom's coldness and became estranged from her brother, she could only try her best to win my dad's favor. But in my mom's eyes, this took on a different meaning. My dad was probably the most clear-headed person in the family. Though he couldn't possibly feel nothing for Lin Shirwei, whom he had raised for 17 years, he clearly favored me, his biological daughter who resembled him. After I was praised by my dad again for my excellent grades, Lin Shirwei couldn't sit still anymore. She stopped me at the staircase landing, her eyes red. "Lin Tongtong, did you say something to Mom? Why has she been ignoring me lately?" I looked at her innocently and said, "I'm Mom's real daughter, you're just a fake. Now that I'm back, isn't it normal for you to be left out?" Lin Shirwei's pupils suddenly contracted as she said in shock, "So you knew all along?" I gave her a slight smile, looking quite pleased with myself. Lin Shirwei gritted her teeth and glared at me viciously, saying, "Lin Tongtong, don't even think about taking everything from me. Mom, Dad, and my brother are all mine. Just wait to be kicked out." After speaking, she closed her eyes, took 2 deliberate steps backward, and intentionally missed the stairs, tumbling down with a loud thud. I simply watched calmly as she brought this upon herself. Lin Shirwei, now at the bottom of the stairs, was covered in scrapes and bruises, with a fractured left leg, looking utterly pitiful. Of course, even if the pain left her speechless, she didn't forget to cast a heartbroken and accusatory glance at me, the culprit. Lin Yusen rushed over to settle the score with me, even if they had fallen out over Li Jingjing's matter. Lin Shirwei was still the sister he had doted on for over a decade. How could he stand by and watch her being bullied by a wild girl like me? Having experienced this many times in my past life, I had anticipated his move and nimbly dodged behind my father. Lin Yusen is Lin Shirwei's knife, effective and keeps her hands clean. I flatly denied it. It wasn't me. I didn't push my sister. She fell by herself. Lin Yusen roared furiously. What kind of nonsense are you talking? How could Shirwei possibly have thrown herself down like this on purpose? Lin Tongtong, you're truly vicious, Lin Shirwei also said with a pale face. I know you've always been jealous of me, but I've already given you everything. Why can't you just accept me? TSK, what a dutiful and obedient daughter, putting up with grievances to preserve harmony. Yet she doesn't realize all her acting has been in vain. I turned to look at Mom and said pitifully, Mom, I really didn't push sister. If you don't believe me, check the surveillance footage. At the mention of surveillance, Lin Shirwei's already pale face instantly drained of all color. What surveillance? Mom looked at Lin Shirwei's panicked eyes and said with a complicated expression, I was afraid the new nanny might be dishonest. So I had surveillance cameras installed in the common areas of the house. After what happened with Li Jingjing and Lin Yusen, my mom's sensitive nerves were triggered. She took my advice and had surveillance installed at home long ago. In my past life, Lin Shirwei also pulled this stunt, which made me, already notorious, completely despised by everyone. So I took precautions and prepared countermeasures in advance, and Lin Shirwei certainly didn't disappoint me. The surveillance camera, though positioned somewhat far away and unable to clearly capture the expressions on our faces, did record Lin Shirwei stepping back and falling down in vivid detail. Apart from Lin Shirwei's rapid breathing, the room was completely silent. Lin Shirwei's gaze swept over our parents' faces before she finally clung to Lin Yusen's arm. Brother, please believe me, I didn't mean to. I was just so scared and confused in the moment. Brother, it hurts so much. Even though Lin Shirwei was clearly making excuses, hearing her call him brother repeatedly and seeing her pitiful, battered appearance, Lin Yusen couldn't help but soften his heart. With a weak glare, he questioned me, even if Rue fell accidentally, couldn't you have helped her up? How could you just stand by and watch? You're truly heartless. I looked at this man who was biologically my brother, barely suppressing the urge to laugh. Yes, I am both vicious and cold-blooded, after all. The kind and gentle me from my past life didn't end up well. To return good for evil, what then should be returned for good? I sneered inwardly, but my face wore a troubled expression. I was just so shocked by what my sister said that I didn't react in time, and she had already fallen. I stared at Lin Yusen and said, my sister suddenly told me that she wasn't our parents' child, that I was the only daughter of the Lin family, and that I had been stolen and abandoned by her biological mother. In both my past life and this one, the first time I saw Lin Yusen, he stood behind Lin Shirwei like a guardian deity, united in hostility against me. From that moment on, I kept wondering what his reaction would be when he discovered Lin Shirwei's true identity. Rue, you knew all along. Mom's words cut off Lin Yusen's unspoken denial. As he looked at our parents and Lin Shirwei, he suddenly realized he was the last one to learn the truth. Lin Shirwei flatly denied, I don't know anything. This isn't true, it's all made up by Lin Tongtong, right? How could I possibly not be Mom and Dad's child? Her flustered expression didn't seem feigned, making my mother look at me with renewed doubt. I said self-deprecatingly, before this, I didn't even know who I was. If she hadn't told me, how could I possibly have known these things? My answer was too convincing, especially since Lin Shirwei had recently staged a farce in an attempt to frame me. The credibility of whose words is more reliable is already self-evident in comparison. Dad, who had been silent all along, suddenly spoke to Lin Shirwei. It was when your biological mother found you in your second year of junior high school that you found out, wasn't it? Lin Shirwei slowly lowered her head without saying a word, which was tantamount to an admission. Mom's sharp voice rang out, fine, fine. You're really my good daughter, my good husband, keeping everything from me. So it turns out I'm the outsider here. After speaking, Mom angrily stormed upstairs, while Dad hurried after her to explain, leaving only Lin Yusen to stay with Lin Shirwei. Waiting for the ambulance to arrive, Lin Shirwei cried bitterly, wanting to act spoiled with her brother as she used to, but Lin Yusen awkwardly avoided her. Men are very rational creatures, just like how Lin Yusen might scold Lin Shirwei for Li Jingjing's sake, appearing to turn against her. He could never truly abandon or disown his sister, but likewise, when it was discovered that Lin Shirwei actually had no blood relation to me, all the privileges she had been given would gradually disappear. I want to witness with my own eyes as Lin Shirwei loses everything she cares about, until she has nothing left, just as she once did to me. Dad and Mom were arguing fiercely upstairs and didn't even show up when the ambulance arrived. It was Lin Yusen who accompanied Lin Shirwei to the hospital. The next morning, as I got out of bed, I happened to see Mom coming out of the next room. In her hand was a sealed bag she hadn't had time to hide. Inside it was Lin Shirwei's hair. I pretended to be half asleep, and my mother hastily responded with a few words before rushing out the door. If I'm not mistaken, she was probably heading to the paternity testing center. Lin Shirwei had known about her true origins all along but feigned ignorance, while Dad had already been in contact with Wang Yeye. This made Mom completely paranoid. Of course, Lin Shirwei and Dad indeed share no blood relation. Wang Yeye and Mom being in the same delivery room was just a coincidence, but she was aware of the Lin family situation and impulsively decided to switch the two babies. As for whether she simply wanted her daughter to live a good life or sought revenge out of jealousy toward her mother, no one can say for certain. Yet trust between people is the most fragile thing. Once broken, it can never truly be mended. Thus, even if the final outcome was negative, Mother could no longer treat Lin Shirwei the same way as before, and the real drama had only just begun. Lin Shirwei stayed in the hospital for half a month, then insisted on returning home to attend school, using the excuse of not wanting to fall behind in her studies. During those 2 weeks, apart from Lin Yusen accompanying her on the first day to handle hospitalization and hire a caregiver, no one else from the family visited her at the hospital. After returning home, Lin Shirwei struggled with a leg in a cast, but she no longer acted as spoiled and willful as before. She began to grow brave, resilient, and taciturn, as if she had matured overnight. I could sense that both Dad and Lin Yusen were softening a bit. After all, they had lived together for 17 years. Even from a rational standpoint, the current well-behaved and sensible Lin Shirwei couldn't make them dislike her. But how could Lin Shirwei truly refrain from causing trouble? Although the Lin family was well off, they never spoiled their children. Moreover, the school was only a 10-minute walk from home, so we always walked to and from school. However, due to Lin Shirwei's mobility difficulties, Dad would later drop the three of us off at school on his way to work. Lin Shirwei sat in the front passenger seat, while Lin Yusen and I sat on either side of Dad in the back, silent the whole way. Naturally, it was Lin Yusen who helped Lin Shirwei to the classroom and asked classmates to look after her during breaks. Lin Shirwei's grateful and trusting gaze softened Lin Yusen's expression, making him momentarily forget she wasn't his biological sister. Soon, the label of ungrateful was joined by vicious sister for me. As rumors spread that I had pushed Lin Shirwei down the stairs out of jealousy, sparking widespread outrage, just like in my previous life, I was bullied at school. My homework and test papers were torn up or scribbled over with markers, glue was smeared on my chair, prank toys were hidden in my desk, and even sand was put in my water bottle. But unlike in my past life, someone quickly stood up to speak for me. Qin Xiang explained the truth about me visiting my grandmother at the nursing home every day after school, which was something I had expected. Unexpectedly, Lin Yusen also stood up to speak for me, explaining that Lin Shirwei had accidentally fallen down the stairs. Lin Yusen was famously a doting brother. When he said Lin Shirwei's fall was an accident, no one suspected he was defending me. Meeting my surprised gaze, he turned away uncomfortably, his expression somewhat somber. It seemed he had completely sobered up from Lin Shirwei's bewitching charm, and just like that, a brewing storm dissipated before it even began. Instead, it was Lin Shirwei who revealed her true colors and started being isolated by her classmates. Under pressure, the classmates who had bullied me before collectively apologized to me. After saying, "It's okay," I buried my face in my arms and cried hard. My tears were 3 parts real, 7 parts fake. They were both a tribute to my past self who had suffered so much in a way to make them feel guilty. This way, no matter what tricks Lin Shirwei tries to pull, no one will believe her anymore. And so, time flew by in the midst of intense and busy studies. I cherished every day spent striving for the future and made a pact with Qin Xiang to meet at the top university next autumn. Perhaps Lin Shiwei finally learned her lesson after suffering too many setbacks. Or maybe it was because even Lin Yusen stopped paying attention to her. She didn't dare to cause any more trouble. Life at home suddenly became very quiet. Dad was busy with work, and Mom was occupied with her own things. Even Lin Yusen, under the pressure of the college entrance exam countdown, was working hard and would sometimes come to me for help with questions. Half a year passed like this, and finally, the college entrance exam arrived. Both Mom and Dad took it very seriously and insisted on personally escorting me and Lin Yusen to the exam site, but just before we were about to leave, my exam admission ticket went missing. After repeatedly confirming that it wasn't left behind by me somewhere, everyone immediately suspected Lin Shiwei. Lin Shiwei was on holiday today and had left early in the morning to meet a friend. Dad called her right away, but her phone was unreachable the whole time. Fortunately, I had printed an extra exam admission ticket beforehand and entrusted it to Qin Xiang for safekeeping, just in case. Who knew it would actually come in handy? The only problem was that Qin Xiang and I weren't in the same exam hall, so this would cause some delay, but there was no other choice. Mom accompanied Lin Yusen to the exam venue in advance, while Dad took me to Qin Xiang's exam site to pick up the admission ticket. In the car, Dad asked me why I had thought to print an extra admission ticket. I understood that he suspected I had already known what Lin Shiwei might do. I told him, the Lin Shiwei I see is different from the one you see. I don't mind assuming the worst about her. It's better than getting hurt. Dad sighed and said nothing more. Qin Xiang had indeed kept my exam admission ticket safe for me. Before leaving, he told me to relax and just do my best, looking at his earnest and expectant expression. I nodded with a smile, but the delay made time too tight, and we encountered traffic on the way. Seeing that time was running out, I decisively got out of the car and ran towards the exam site. Unexpectedly, my dad also abandoned the car by the roadside and chased after me. The two of us, father and daughter, arrived at the exam site panting and out of breath just in the last 2 minutes. This was the first time I felt the warmth of paternal love, despite the mess. The corners of my mouth kept curling up. Lin Shiwei was out of contact for 3 days. It seemed she was determined to make me miss all my exams, but without her around, I slept particularly soundly these past 2 nights. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, she returned as if nothing had happened, claiming she went hiking with classmates where the signal was poor, clearly trying to brush it off. She thought she had avoided surveillance this time, leaving no evidence of her misdeeds. But trust and distrust often don't require proof. Her parents didn't mention the exam admission ticket, only coldly stating they were preparing to send her abroad to study. It was then that Lin Shiwei began to panic. She knew this meant exile and refused to go no matter what. Originally, she just wanted to get back at me, and more importantly, to break up Qin Xiang and me. But if she went abroad and had less contact with her family, she would only become more marginalized in this household. Even completely abandoned, but my parents had made up their minds, and no matter how much Lin Shiwei cried and begged, they wouldn't relent. Even Lin Yusen remained completely unmoved. In the end, she shot me a venomous glare before storming back to her room and slamming the door shut. Qin Xiang and I fulfilled our promise to each other, both gaining admission to the top university, just like in my past life. He confessed his feelings to me, and I said yes. I had guessed Lin Shiwei wouldn't let it go, but her obsession still took me by surprise. As the school term approached, Lin Shiwei's parents had already taken care of all the necessary procedures for her. She seemed to have accepted reality, but on the night before her departure, she got drunk and asked Lin Yusen to pick her up. However, Lin Yusen never returned after leaving. It wasn't until midnight that the hospital called, saying Lin Yusen had a severe case of gastric perforation and was in critical condition. Outside the operating room, Lin Shiwei stared blankly, clearly frightened. Fortunately, Lin Yusen pulled through safely, though he needed to stay in the hospital for observation for a while. Lin Shiwei claimed that Lin Yusen had drunk too much because he couldn't bear to see her leave, but I felt something was off. Upon checking her bank transactions, I indeed found something suspicious. Lin Shiwei had booked a king-size room in the hotel next to the bar early on, given that she was plying Lin Yusen with alcohol. Her intentions afterward were all too obvious. She knew that in her parents' eyes, she was no longer considered a daughter of the Lin family. To stay with the Lins, she was even willing to resort to any means necessary to become their daughter-in-law. After being exposed, Lin Shiwei tearfully claimed that she had acted out of reluctance to part with her parents. In the past, her parents might have actually believed her lies. But now she had no credibility left. Her parents didn't say anything more. Not even bothering to scold her, they also didn't mention sending her abroad again, instead arranging for her to live on campus. Although Lin Shiwei rushed home every holiday, no one in the Lin family paid her any attention. Everyone treated her as if she were heir. She was completely ignored. Lin Shiwei's previously average grades plummeted further, due to severe conflicts with her roommates. Her exam admission ticket was hidden, causing her to miss the first college entrance exam. Her scores were so low that she had to bribe her way into a bottom-tier second-tier university. Lacking the courage to retake the exams, she then considered studying abroad, but her parents didn't agree and only gave her some money before making her move out of the Lin family, completely severing ties. From then on, the person I had once regarded as a nightmare in my past life completely faded from my life. But my revenge was far from over. I heard about Lin Shiwei again at my wedding to Qin Xiang. Catching a snippet of gossip from the table of high school classmates, during her freshman year, Lin Shiwei's gambling-addicted biological mother found her and stole all her money. Although Wang Yeye was eventually sent to prison, all the money had been squandered by her, leaving Lin Shiwei to rely on part-time work to cover her living expenses. No one knew that the phone call revealing Lin Shiwei's wealth to Wang Yeye was made by me. In my previous life, I was kept in the dark. So I never understood Lin Shiwei's malice toward me. It wasn't until I witnessed Wang Yeye using this to extort money from Lin Shiwei that I finally learned the truth of what had happened back then. Every villain meets his match. Lin Shiwei must also taste the bitterness of being driven to despair, just like I did in my previous life. But Lin Shiwei, who had been pampered since childhood, couldn't endure such hardship. So she took a shortcut she shouldn't have. She became a mistress. The latest news is that half a year ago, her sugar daddy died unexpectedly. After being beaten up by his wife, she and her child were kicked out, and she has since disappeared without a trace. But these have nothing to do with me anymore. I can't even muster a sense of schadenfreude, as truly insignificant people aren't worth wasting my